Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. My name is Doug. Tonight, I've got a special treat for you all. I am joined by two very talented gentlemen. Brian McClellan, the award-winning author of the Powder Mage Trilogy. And we have Gallant Knight Games founder, Alan Bahr. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us on.
It's our pleasure.
Now, the reason why we're on tonight is because we're doing a Q&A with Brian and Alan about their Kickstarter that's going on right now for the Powder Mage RPG that is so close to funding, so close. We're hoping that it hits its funding goal while we're live tonight. Let's start out with Brian, who I should say is the man responsible for me renewing my Audible membership because his books are so awesome, and I just finished the first one. I did it in like 2 days at work, and it was phenomenal. Brian, thank you for coming on. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So as we were saying, my name is Brian McClellan. So I'm the author of the Powder Mage Trilogy. It's basically a flintlock epic fantasy. I set out to try to write something where I said, okay, what happens when a kind of that standard epic fantasy world that I grew up with as a kid turns out, what happens when they hit their industrial revolution? And I kind of went from that pitch and a bunch of other ideas that had been floating around in my head, and kind of developed this world that's going through a very chaotic, very French Revolution kind of time, but has magic and gods and all of the kind of fantasy tropes and stuff that all of us love when we're reading epic fantasy. So that's kind of, those are the books that I write, and I've over kind of the years, I've gotten a lot of comments from people saying, "Oh, I'd love to do role playing in your universe," and and that's great when people say that to me. But when I don't have any professional capacity myself to do it, then I just kind of say, "Well, I don't." That's awesome. I hope something comes from it. And I don't even know if it was a year and a half ago or so that I got a message from Alan, who turned out to be a friend of a friend, saying, "Hey, I read your books and I think they'd make a great RPG." And I actually, I'm doing game consulting. And we've been talking ever since, and kind of ramping up to now, launching this Kickstarter and using my universe for the setting.
It was Gen Con 2014. We had lunch at the pizza place.
That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Gen Con's great. We've always wanted to get to Gen Con, but we've never got a chance to. And it's great to network at conventions like that. It's a great opportunity. Alan, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? What you do with Gallant Knight Games?
Yeah, I'm Alan from Gallant Knight Games. I make games. I mean, that's like
awesome.
Really, as far as it goes.
you make RPGs, and you want to list a few of the ones that you've done. Tiny Frontiers.
I did Tiny Frontiers. I did the sequel, Tiny Frontiers Mecha and Monsters, which is basically Pacific Rim, the role-playing game. We've been on the channel for that.
That's right.
We have Powder Mage we consulted on. I consulted on the Planet Mercenary role-playing game from the Schlock Mercenary Universe and Howard Taylor and co. So, I've done a few things.
You're a very busy man as well.
I try.
Very cool. Let me just... So you said that you've had, Brian, people fans that have read your book that said this is an RPG setting that I'd like to do an RPG in. How does that make you feel? That's pretty cool. like I can't imagine creating my own fictional universe and having people that love it so much that they actually want to participate in it. That blows my mind.
It's a really weird feeling, and it's certainly one of those things where it's like little milestone things for you as an author. And there's a lot of those milestones where maybe you get a little desensitized to them as you go on and get a little more successful. But it's still these really cool feelings when somebody the first time I had somebody cosplay. The first time I had somebody email me and say, I came up with my own kind of custom module for D&D to play your characters. The first time somebody
we crossed.
Oh, did we? Oh, yes. Woo! That's fantastic.
Very cool. Very cool.
Sorry,
Awesome. No, that's fine. So that's terrific.
BJ Hahn is the winner.
We knew, who is it? Who is it?
BJ Hahn.
BJ Hahn. Shout out to BJ Hahn.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for being that backer.
Yeah, get us on now. Okay, so there's lots of those little kind of milestones for you, but and it was so one of many, but it makes you feel so cool to have other people willingly, actively participating in your world beyond just reading it, beyond kind of more of a passive reading, but like really wanting to get involved. And I love that. It's such a cool feeling. That's
awesome, because the books are I've read the first one and I can't wait to read the second one. They just get you they just grab you, and you want to know more and more about that universe. It's really neat. Let's talk a little bit about the RPG.
Okay.
If you don't mind, Alan, based on what's listed on the Kickstarter, do you want to tell us a little bit about it uses the Savage Worlds RPG system?
Correct. So Savage Worlds is the system's been around for a little bit. It's most noticeable from Deadlands, which is a pretty popular IP and setting, kind of a weird Western horror thing going on. But it's also, they license out the rules, and they have a bunch of other settings, Solomon Kane, sci-fi. It does a lot of things. It's a very fast, pulpy setting that lends itself really well to both action, but drama inside that action.
Very cool.
So
go ahead. No, go ahead.
So the mechanics are pretty simple, actually. You have skills, and the skills have a dice rating. And you roll that dice, and if you're a player character, you always roll a d6. And if you roll a 4 or higher on any of the dice, you succeed at the thing you want to do. Okay. So it's just 2 dice, roll, done. All right, I'm there.
Very cool.
It's very quick, and so it plays really well.
Nice. So our folks are probably going to need the Savage World book to kind of have as the base, whereas we've had with Tiny Frontiers, Mecha and Monsters. Yep. You said that was like an expand-alone book where you don't need the core book to play it.
Yep.
People are going to need the Savage Worlds.
Yeah, you can't play Powder Mage without the Savage Worlds handbook, but it's only $10 for the print and the PDF as a combined package. So it's a pretty low investment. Plus, you get access to all the other awesome Savage Worlds games that run on that little rule set.
Awesome.
So we're not just enabling awesome Powder Mage stories. We're just enabling all sorts of gaming addiction purchasing.
That's the best kind of enabling.
Absolutely. So how much of the book is written? How if you were to put it in a percentage amount, how much do you think? How much further do you have to go, you think, with the book itself?
The rules are 95% done.
Okay.
Yeah, those are two different questions.
Okay, sorry.
We have the side that Alan does and the side that I do.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about each then.
Okay, so Alan.
I'm like 95% done. It's mostly just playtesting, tweaking, and a few small additions that need to be done.
Okay.
So my way of writing is maybe annoying to some people, but I write very quickly off of lots of notes and thinking. So I have several of these stupid yellow notebooks I get from Costco, full of notes on the world and what each country does, and things like that. All of this world building that I'm going to basically sit down for a week or two and just write that stuff. And because I've been working almost exclusively on books 1 and 2 of the new series, I haven't gotten to it, but it's one of those things where I have everything sitting there. It just needs to be pounded out.
Awesome. Very cool.
And just so anybody listening is not worried, we have a table of contents. We've already defined what those pieces are.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just collating all the different little snippets into a comprehensive thing.
It's plugging stuff in, and if you're worried, I write I average about 100 180,000 word epic fantasy a year, so this isn't really that much writing to me.
This is kind of light work for you compared to that.
It actually is. It's really fun, kind of. It's almost popcorny work where, it's the kind of stuff I would have done in high school, sit down with a pencil and world build without any actual plot.
Sure.
And it's kind of really fun to go back to that and just be like, oh, and here's this and this and this and this and this, and keep expanding.
Very cool. Very cool. So how many pages do you anticipate the book to be at this point?
On the Kickstarter, we call out we're estimating 180 pages. Obviously, it's never an exact science. And if the more we fund, the more we're going to add in. And we're going to try to grow the page count. The more people pay us, just the more content we're going to pack in there.
Nice.
So.
Nice. And the campaign still has 32 days left to go. And if we just hit funding right now, that's 32 days worth of extra content that hopefully we can, everybody can kind of add to that book.
Right.
Which is exciting. It's exciting to see. With the book, it's going to have classes and everything. Now, what else is going to be included in the book? Is it going to have adventures and because I know with some of the other projects you've been on, Alan, you've had mini what did we call them? Little scenarios or whatever, micro settings. Is that going to be pretty similar with this book, or is it going to be different?
Not at all. Yeah, okay. This is a self-contained universe, right? So basically, I'm going to hand this to Brian and say, you have to write 140 pages here.
Okay, and then
but we will add adventures. There will be monsters to fight. There will be example characters.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wrote an adventure that will be in there, and I have plans to, as we make more money, I'm going to add more pages to that adventure. We're just going to keep expanding it.
Excellent.
Right.
Excellent. And the book's going to be, is it going to be in color or black and white? Has that been determined, or is that maybe has that been?
Color. It'll be color.
It's a color. Yeah. It's a color book. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That seems to be kind of one of the things that the people kind of expect with an RPG book at this point. Is a color book.
Right. Did we? We didn't put the sample pages up, did we, for the Kickstarter?
No, because they have rules.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
We weren't going to commit ourselves to the rules until playtesting was done. And I don't want to promise rules and then have them be wrong.
Yeah. We maybe we'll end up sticking a sample up with maybe I'll do a little bit of world building or something, or have a sample of what the that something's going to look like. We'll be throwing more things up on there to show people as we go. Mm-hmm. We've got more stuff that's developed and kind of sitting that we want to make sure that we have all of our ducks in the row before we actually show people.
Sure.
So
very cool. Now, one thing that I know you've mentioned on the Kickstarter page is the art. You said a lot of the art's done. Is that correct? And the art that's on the page right now is phenomenal, by the way. It's awesome. It looks really, really well done. Can you tell me who's doing that art? And, how did you find them?
So the artist that you see that is the art that's on there right now. So Rene Agner, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, which is embarrassing because I've worked with him for 2 years now. He's done all of the cover art for my self-published novellas that I do.
Okay.
And so I went to him and had him do this cover art for the RPG, and that's the one that's there at the top of the Kickstarter. And then and we've got art by, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. He's a Polish author, Peter, who has done the character art, and we have him commissioned for a whole bunch more. Nice. I'm loving his character art. I fell in love with it, and I just found by just kind of going through DeviantArt, looking at stuff, trying to find something that I felt like fit my vision. Sure. And then let's see. So Grace Fong is a friend of a friend that I got to meet. I think it was at Phoenix Comic Con this last year. Who does this art, and I fell in love with her. She does these little weapon sketches and stuff like that, and so we commissioned her to do the weapons. and I think that we're going to get a couple more sheets out of her as we go along. But you can see the first sheet there at the bottom of the Kickstarter, and I absolutely adore those.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's really impressive.
And we're going to probably play with some of the symbols that I've commissioned over the last couple of years from Isaac Stewart. And those symbols are also in my novels. When we play on the motifs and stuff he does, with that. And we've got a couple other artists that are that we've got on the back burner that we told, hey, we love your stuff. We want to use it. We don't necessarily know where yet. And they know that we're here and interested, and we've talked to them. They're fans of mine too, which is also a giant bonus because cool. You get both the professional and the personal interest, and I think that makes the art better.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we've got some really awesome stuff already and lined up, and I've just been so pleased with it.
It looks great. I'm excited to see what it's still early on, but I'm excited to see what it's all I'm excited to see these next few months and into next year. And I always like updates, and it's going to be really fun watching it develop as it goes.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about the pledges. To anybody that hasn't looked at the Kickstarter page, of course, anybody can kind of donate to the campaign if they want to without any rewards. But most people like to back knowing that they're probably going to get something in return. The basic, if they just want the rules in a PDF form, $15.
Yep, nice and simple.
That's a good price point. I think that's good.
I've actually had a couple of people thank me for just doing a single digital thing. Yeah, because not everybody has the cash to throw around, and some people just don't have the space.
Sure.
So yeah, I like having a digital option for it.
Absolutely. $25 gets you the softcover book.
Yep.
Does that include the PDF or no? Just the physical book.
Nope. It's if you get a copy of the physical book, you're getting a copy of the PDF.
Okay, so you are getting both the physical and digital. That's $25. That's a no-brainer at that point. Because you're basically paying $10 for the book. You can get the $50. You can get the soft cover with all the add-ons.
Yep.
The add-ons are dice. You get a dice set by Chessex.
Yep.
You get chips, poker chips, which we talked about earlier before we went live. They're a game. They're used in the game.
Yep. The poker chips are used to represent what are called bennies, which are kind of like luck tokens or extra effort, and you can spend them during the game to do better. Gotcha.
Very cool. Okay. And then there's also a deck of cards.
Correct. The action deck is it's just going to be it's really just a deck of playing cards, but it's going to be themed to Powder Mage, and it's in the game they call it an action deck, but it's just going to be a regular playing card deck that's Powder Maged up.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, originally when the Kickstarter launched, there was a $65 option for a hardcover it was signed and it went like crazy. And due to popular demand, you guys added more.
Yes.
Yeah, we went through those first 100 in like 8 hours or something like that.
It was faster than that. It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
It was really, when I put my pledge in, it was just like boom, and then all of a sudden they were gone.
Yeah, that one surprised me a lot. So we ended up, those guys get to keep their $65 pledge level, and so they get that kind of bonus for getting in there early, and so we added another one that's at $70 for 100 more of them.
Nice. It's kind of like an early bird pledge.
Yeah,
a lot of Kickstarters do that, so that's kind of a way to do it for you guys.
Yeah, our unsuspected early bird pledge.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a little surprising.
No, it's great. It's always fun to see stuff just take off, especially with Kickstarter, because you're never sure how a community is going to rally around a project, and to see it just kind of ignite like that is really, really awesome.
It's one of those things where my day job, I work as a data analyst, right? So I'm used to numbers and projections. I'm like, my first Kickstarter, I projected our funding total to within $4. Like,
wow.
Before, like we ended $4 higher than I projected. Went great, right? But I did the same thing. I had a deluxe pledge level, and they were gone in like an hour. And I was like, oh, totally didn't get those numbers right. So like for Brian, I'm like, all right, well, Brian's way more popular than me. So we'll just like times it by 5.
Yeah.
Right? They were gone in like 5 hours. I'm like, crap. Me and limited levels apparently just don't get along.
Oh, no. Hey.
That works out for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Now there are a couple of higher tiers. There's a $150 tier that pretty much gives you the whole Brian McClellan package. Is pretty much what we're going to call it. It gives you the RPG book with all the add-ons, plus it gives you all of your books and novellas all signed, right?
Yep.
Wow, that's great.
Well, it's important to note that you get 2 copies. You get the softcover and the hardcover RPG on that one. So you can use your softcover at the table and just keep the hardcover nice on the shelf next to your novels and novellas.
Nice.
Yep.
Very cool. And how many of those pledges? Is there a limited amount of those?
You know, we did not do a limited amount. I expected to get like 5. Right. And we're at 25 now, so...
See? Times 5.
Yeah.
Times 5.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you exercise that signing hand here before you send out those pledges.
What? That's 4 novellas and 3 novels. You're looking at 9 books per pledge.
Yeah.
Times 25.
Yeah, it's gonna take me a week or 2 to get through all these.
That's awesome, though. That's cool.
Well, it's great to see such fan participation, right? Like we offered this as kind of a Brian and I were talking. We're like, well, somebody might want this, and we don't want to make it hard on them, so we'll just offer it here, right? But there's such a demand apparently, and
there is.
It's good to see that we're offering something people find valuable at a price point they find valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a unique. It'd be interesting to see. Like it'd be interesting to know how many folks that haven't read your books are backing it just because they like just by looking at your art and looking at the type of setting that it is. Because a lot of people like RPGs just based on the setting. It'd be interesting to know. I mean, you don't think you'd never be able to tell but it's just a really great world that you've created, and visually it's really what's the word? Enticing and that would be neat to know, but I don't think we'd ever be able to find that out.
I know 3 of those 25 have never read the books.
3 of those 25 have never. Well, that's
because I know who they are.
Oh, so. Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Just because they're either associates of mine or people who've talked to me.
That's very cool.
In some way. But there's at least a few people who are like, well, I'm buying the game. I may as well read the books. Let's get it all.
Sure.
I won't argue.
Catering to the addiction. Here we are again.
Yes.
So the add-ons, if you're not getting them with the pledges, you can pay a little bit extra and get the dice and decks and the chips, and they're reasonably priced. They're $10 and $15. And then you can add additional soft covers for $15 to your pledges as well.
Yep.
Do the add-ons aren't needed to play though?
Nope, it's just more of the same.
Right. Just kind of give you a little more flavor and everything.
For example, if you want dice set for your whole group as a present or something, you can increase that amount.
Very cool. One thing that I really when I was looking at the Kickstarter, because Alan sent me the announcement that it was coming, and I was really excited about it. So I was really anticipating what the Kickstarter was going to entail. I really immediately respected the decision of not having stretch goals. Like as a first time campaign, I think that's some people don't like that because of the fact that it doesn't create a whole, a lot of people use it as hype during their campaign. But I think it's great, especially for a first time campaign for you, Brian, that it's good that you set that reasonable amount of work and knowing that, hey, I'm going to get this done, and this is what I know I can get done. I don't want to stretch it any further. Yeah, you don't want to jeopardize the timeline that you've already kind of established for hype.
Right, right. Like I was saying before, like I know what I can do in a certain
Hmm.
amount of time when it comes to straight up world building, writing. I know I can, get work done and have it, delivered. Uh, Throwing a whole bunch of, stretch goals and things on there, to me it seemed overwhelming because Alan and I had this talk early on, and it just seems like it's overwhelming to me for my first time doing a Kickstarter. It's overwhelming to me for the fact that I got a lot of other stuff to do. This is, my main job is writing the novels. And I self-published novellas and stuff on the side. I've got plenty of work to do as an author. And so, this is, in my head, this has always been equated as something akin to the novellas, where it is something that's on the side that I think is super cool that I would like to give to my fans. And so, and I want to do something straight up. I don't feel like I need to, kind of cater to that Kickstart community sort of thing, because I went into this fully expecting 95% of the pledges to be from people who are already fans of mine and know, the type of work I deliver, and that sort of thing. Rather than having kind of that customer service side of, trying to convince, 10,000 people or whatever, that they have to buy my stuff.
Right. You'd rather have the fans that already are in love with your product, rather than trying to get to sell people to come on board and try to say, hey, well, look at all this stuff you're going to get for your money. I don't think that's a very, especially for first time Kickstarter, that's not the way you need to go.
Right. And it's not necessarily that I don't want those people. It's that I expect and plan for the core of the people doing the Kickstarter to be people that love my work.
Right, absolutely.
And that's kind of where I'm coming from. And so I don't want to create false expectations to people that don't know who I am and don't know what I do.
Sure. No,
so, and there's value in as a sort of the project manager, consultant,
collaborator.
I've done this before a couple times, so
Sure,
I'm on to make sure Brian doesn't mess it up too badly, I guess, right? Like,
yeah. Go ahead and correct me on anything I say.
No, that's entirely, but I mean, at a certain point, Brian is, in the end, I'm just a consultant, right? Brian's making the game.
Right.
I'm helping him get there. And if Brian feels like this is the game, then that's the game, right? We want to set Brian up to deliver. And as a fan myself, I love Brian's books. And as a collaborator, project manager, employee, whatever I am, my weird nebulous positioning in this project. Consultant. Fancy Pants Consultant. I want something in front of my name. Fancy Pants Consultant. As a Fancy Pants Consultant, there's something to be said for just trust us to take the extra money and make it better.
Right.
We're not going to just go out and say, hey, we raised $40K on a $20K Kickstarter, $10,000 for Brian, $10,000 for Alan. Let's just turn in somewhere. We're gonna make sure that money goes into making the game better. We're gonna make sure there's value so people feel like they got what they paid for.
Right.
But they have to trust us to do that, because in the end, Brian's a businessman, I'm a businessman, we're trying to run a business. Yep. And sometimes we have to let our judgment be the judgment.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's like, because I'm already mildly public figure, I have my own brand name is at risk for doing something like this. Right. And so, that's kind of the weight I put against it, is a career of 4 years in publishing, that I've put out, 3, almost 4 books and have a bunch more under contract. And, so I've got something there to offer that's not necessarily an RPG, but it's creative work that I'm, working very closely with.
Very cool. All right, let me while we're here, let me see if I've got if there's any questions on the chat. Sorry, I meant to bring this up while I was.
No problem.
Let me see here. I don't see anything. Maybe there are. Didn't say anything. Brian, you've got another book on the way.
Yes.
And you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So for current fans, Sins of Empire is basically the next book in the Powder Mage universe. It takes place 10 years after the end of Autumn Republic on a different continent with a whole new set of characters, although there are lots of familiar faces that are going to be showing up. For new people coming, it's written to be a new launching point for the series. So if somebody comes in and says, this book looks cool, I would like to read it, oh no, and tries to think of it as book 4, it's not book 4, it's book 1. But in some ways operates as a book 4 kind of thing for people that are already in. So it was one of those, it was the hardest book to write for me so far, because of the way it had to be crafted to be approachable, but also, lots of fan service of having, old people show up and nudge, nudge, wink, wink references to the old series, but not have those be like dragging to the plot and things like that. So basically that'll be out in March, and it's the first book in a new series. I've sold a trilogy to Orbit that'll probably be coming out over the next 3 years, give or take, depending on how long I take to write each one. But the first one's finished, turned in completely, dedicated day out, March 7th, and then hopefully the next one after that will be March of 2018.
Very cool. Very awesome. Actually, we have a question from a viewer. Michael Wyatt asks, how much will the religion of Brian's world how much will it play, or how much, let me read this over again here. How much will the religion of Brian's world will play a role in the RPG rules?
So I don't think Alan and I have talked about religion affecting the rules, because of how it works inside the universe. Religion plays I think it'll play a big part in the role playing itself.
Right.
And that's up to me to write, and I will be talking about religion a lot in the book. But as far as rules, what do you think about that, Alan?
I having read the books repeatedly at this point, there's no point where religion, other than defining a character's choices, is like a motivation really comes into play. Mm-hmm. Right? It may be some antagonists or NPCs, but there's no powers around religion that are going to be showing up, or special rules, right?
Right. Yeah. Calling on your god in my world doesn't do jack.
Very good.
But obviously there will be, like Brian said, sections of the fluff related to that, and we'll include roleplay examples, something like that.
Gotcha.
Right.
So that might be like a trait for a character, like character creation or something like that.
Yep. Something might pop up or something might not. I'm not going to lock us into promising you something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So that looks like the only question that we have so far. So that's that book's the only thing. The books are what you've got going on, Brian, right now. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Do you have any conventions or signings or anything that you got coming up on the schedule?
My big thing for this fall was this Kickstarter, and then I'm working on book 2 of the next series, and then book 1 coming out in March. So that's actually, it doesn't sound like much, but for an author, that's a reasonably full schedule. So that's my next 6 months or so. There may be a convention slipped into there, but I don't have anything planned yet.
Nice. No Gen Con plans?
I believe we're going to be at Gen Con next year.
We have to be. We promised we would be, and people pay us money to go. So.
That's right. That's one of the Kickstarter backers. Oh yeah.
We're going to be there.
So we'll be at Gen Con next year. But that's further out than I'm planning in my brain right now. So.
Yeah. No, it's still a ways away. Alan, you want to talk a little bit about projects you got going on? You got
Yeah.
We're gonna actually, we've got plans to kind of feature you on the channel here on a regular basis if we can make it work.
Yes, I will be showing up monthly to talk about game stuff. So
all sorts of stuff.
But so right now I have Powder Mage on Kickstarter. So if you didn't know, you should probably go back that now.
Go check that out. I hear it's funded.
Yeah. Hey, so it seems like it's doing well. I'm on another Kickstarter. I'm co-writing with somebody that's actually kickstarting right now, so I'm competing against myself.
Oh,
well done.
This one I'm just a co-writer on. It's being published by Battlefield Press, and it's a much smaller game, but it's also Savage Worlds. So hey,
wow.
But it's called Agents of Gaia. If you ever seen the show Warehouse 13, that kind of thing. It's a modern urban fantasy role-playing game where you like collect relics and stuff, artifacts from history. So. We're halfway funded. I think we're at a little over 50%. The funding goal is pretty low. The guy, Jonathan, who's a friend of mine, he delivers great stuff, so I'm happy to be working with him.
Nice.
Other than that, my next big project is Cold Shadows in March, which we've talked about, which is a spy role-playing game set in Cold War era, era Earth.
Yep. Very excited to take a look at that.
Other than that, my only con is LTUE in February-ish.
Nice.
Oh, I'd probably be at that one. Yeah, I think.
Sweet. Very good. Very good. Yeah, and then, like I said, we're going to try to set up a live play session for the Powder Mage RPG here on this channel at some point during the Kickstarter. I've got a convention that I have to be at this weekend in Saratoga Springs, New York, and so we can't really. And then I've got a couple other projects that I have to work on, but we're going to try to get that hopefully set up here within the next week or so. And have a date, and I'll put that on the Kickstarter page as well. All right. Michael says, sorry about the typo. That's all right, Michael. Don't worry about it. That's kind of my MO with typing and everything on everything. Luckily, I have a wife that kind of reads over everything that I. I'm not an author like Brian. Let's put it that way.
I've got a copy editor. I don't care about typos.
And I need to get one of those. All right, so I guess we'll probably just wrap it up from here. Just know that it's the Powder Mage RPG is fully funded at this point, so everything that's funded beyond now is just going to go towards making the book even better. And there is a link to the Kickstarter in the comments or in the description of this video. So if you're watching this after the fact, feel free to click on that and take a look at Brian's Powder Mage RPG. If you haven't read any of Brian's books, check them out. They are on Audible, which is a big plus for me because a lot of times I can't just sit down and read for hours on end, but I can put on headphones, and as I'm typing at work or entering anything in, I can just kind of sit there and listen, and that's how I was able to burn through. I burned through book one like crazy. And it's a great book. It's a great universe, and I think anybody that likes and I've said this to a few people, if you like George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, it's not quite as deadly as Game of Thrones, but it's got a lot of intrigue. It's great. It's really well done.
You've got another question actually from Mike.
Oh, I do. Let's take a look here. Let me see. I don't.
He asks, will flavor text in the RPG book be considered canon to the series?
That is a great question. See, Michael's coming up with some great questions. I should have had him write all this stuff up ahead of time.
So flavor text will be loose canon in that because it is an RPG where people are going and doing their own thing. I'm obviously not held to any of that for future use in the universe, but I'm writing it with the full intention of having that all be things that I use in the future because I don't like doing work more than once.
Right.
The information presented will be canonical unless Brian changes it.
Exactly.
Can we use the term, you're not going to George Lucas it? Is that, because... You know the deal with George Lucas.
Just wait till the second edition of the game, okay? We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, There's major changes. Yeah, we'll just put out a new edition.
We're just gonna. Well, yeah, I know you guys wrote all those books, and I made you make everything all line up and.
Yeah, it's not gonna be that
but
bad.
You know what? I'm making my new movies, and those are all garbage now. Let's gonna forget these.
No, if something's different, it'll be something like, I didn't like the capital city name that I used in the RPG, so I'll call it something else in the books. It's not going to be major changes.
Hey,
Nice.
and as this goes on, obviously, we'll try to keep like an errata we can keep somewhere where people can just go check, hey, Brian changed this or Brian changed that. So
Right.
the book might, and if we ever do more printings, we'll take the time to try to make those adjustments as we go.
But like I said, I don't like doing work more than once, so it's pretty canon, whatever I end up putting in there.
Nice. Well,
Another question.
Oh,
Everybody,
oh man.
yeah.
Although,
That's okay.
don't read this name out loud.
Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna. We're just gonna do Mr. Daly or Mrs. Daly. Will there be an RPG stamp in the books like the Mad Lancers and Andro Army stamp you've done in the past?
So the Mad Lancers stamp is for the next series. So are they asking for the RPG, whether I'll have a stamp for it then?
Yes.
I hadn't actually thought of that, but that's not a terrible idea. I will be commissioning symbols when I need them for the RPG. I've got a guy I've been talking to about doing that over the next couple of months. And as we talk about that sort of thing, we may end up with one that we like enough that I turn it into a stamp and I can use it to pop on there when I sign stuff.
Very cool.
Another question.
Yep. You guys are getting the questions quicker than I am for some reason. I don't know why that.
Michael Wyatt asked if there will be an expansion.
That depends on how things go. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say yes or no to that right now, but that all depends on the Kickstarter and the time that both Alan and I have in the future, and that sort of thing.
We have left room for an expansion related to the new series if it is something we deem appropriate.
Yes,
and all the pieces line up.
Exactly. Yeah. So pieces, God willing, it'll happen, but who knows?
Yeah. Let's just get this first book done first, and then take it.
Yeah, I've got a series to write right now, so
yeah,
we'll see.
Very cool. All right. I think that's everybody's questions at this point.
Okay, great.
So I'm sorry. I told you I would go 30 minutes. We kind of went a little over 40. I apologize for that, Brian.
No problem.
But Alan, thank you again for coming on as well, and Brian, thank you for letting us kind of talk a little bit about your project. And best of luck to you and to your books and to any future projects you got going on. Please let us know if we can put word out for anything you got going on. Like I said, I've been really impressed with the book so far, and I'm really excited to dive into the next two.
Well, thank you very much.
No problem. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. If you haven't, like I said, if you haven't checked out the Kickstarter, check out the link down below. This is I'm Doug, and this is Victory Condition Gaming, because winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.
Thank you.